This is the Frank and Friends Show. Hi there, I'm Frank Murphy.
I'm Daniel Michael Crane, DMC.
Welcome, DMC. How are you?
Doing good.
Or as we call you, DeLorean Motor Car. No, wait, no, Daniel Michael Crane. You and I have met multiple times at gigs, at events, because you are a singer. You're an entertainer, I think is a better way to describe it. Tell us a little bit about you real quick.
Well, I'm a seasoned local performer based out in Sevierville, Tennessee. Got my early singing start in New York City in the clubs and the lounges and the restaurants and what have you.
Yeah. And you do a little bit of everything, a little bit of country and a little bit of the classics too, like the Sinatra style.
Yeah, a little bit of everything from doo-wop to oldies to classic country.
Well, we'll dig into that a little bit more, but first I got to say thank you very much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. You can like it too if you want, but we appreciate your telling your friends about the Frank and Friends Show, and make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, so you don't miss any of our episodes. And you can also find our fabulous Frank and Friends Show merch, like the hoodies. Here's the fancy the hoodie. It's almost hoodie season. I mean, it's still a little warm for me, but I got the logo on the front and the back.
It's got you written all over it.
It sure does. Sure does. And you can get those at frankandfriendsshow.com/store. You can also listen to the audio feed on all your favorite podcast apps. In case you don't want to look at us, you can just pause and actually, though, let the video play. Because that counts, counts toward our view hours. It's all about the algorithms, and you know that because that's how you've been successful, is getting the word out using social media to get people to come to your shows.
Mm-hmm. It's really a law of averages thing to me. For every one person that says no, that next two will say yes, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I guess it's like selling cars. So we're both from New York, but we both love the Southeast, and in fact, you've adapted. It sounds like a little more of the Southern accent than I have.
A little bit, but when I get really passionate about something or somebody says something about my family or my fur babies, the Southern accent completely goes away and the New York comes out and it just won't stop.
I was talking to a lawyer last week who I didn't know was from New York. Turns out I thought he was from here. And he said he totally learned the Southern accent and the Southern charm because it helped him win cases in the Southern courtrooms. I'm like, that's the most Matlock story I've ever heard. But I think Andy Griffith, of course, he was supposed to be a real Southern lawyer. But you know what? Put on the seal sucker and go win your case, attorney. So when we say New York, I mean, New York's a fairly populous area. Whereabouts exactly? I grew up in Yonkers. My parents are from the Bronx. What about you?
I grew up in Long Island, New York. More specifically, the South Shore, east end of Long Island, just a few towns outside of Westhampton.
Oh, be more. Please narrow that down because I have family in the Hamptons.
A place called East Mauritius. I'm a couple of towns outside of Westhampton. Westhampton Beach High School, class of 2008. What's up?
You really went there?
Yes, I did.
I did not know you were that far out. For some reason, I thought you were a Nassau County boy. And it turns out you're Suffolk all the way.
That's right.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, my daughter was recently vacationing up there and with her kids, and she was texting me, Dad, what are some good places to take the kids? And I said, well, there's the Whaling Museum, but it was closed that day. So I'm Googling now.
Oh, well.
They did end up going on a different day and had a good time at the Whaling Museum in Sag Harbor. Mm-hmm. But then I found on the Google Maps a place I had never been to, but there's a natural history museum on that road that goes from Sag Harbor to Bridgehampton. And they said it was fantastic. She couldn't get the kids to leave because there's a touch tank, where you can reach in there and touch, little... I don't know if it's horseshoe crabs or whatever, but little, local fish. And then they went swimming in the bay, which I prefer, Peconic Bay over the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, people love the ocean, but to me, it's this loud. It makes too much noise.
And Peconic Bay is near the Riverhead area. Riverhead's beautiful.
Well, Peconic Bay is huge, yeah. So you can get to it. There's parts of Southampton where you can get to, and Sag Harbor where you can go out in the bay, and it's just so calm, and it's great for the little kids. They were running right in the water without any fear at all. It was nice.
I loved growing up on Long Island. I had a really great childhood there.
Yeah? Did you? I mean, for me, it was about, going fishing a lot, or going looking for, frogs and turtles in the woods and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, go riding our bikes around the neighborhood, jumping over the holes like Mama said not to do, but guess who would have to do it anyway, just to try to prove himself.
Evel Knievel over here.
And walk around to the beach around the neighborhood.
You're probably too young to know who Evel Knievel is.
Yeah, the motorcycle guy.
Okay, good.
I think he's sadly no longer with us.
Yeah. I met him once. He was in bad shape. But he came by for whatever radio station I was at for an interview. But it was cool. I mean, because I remember, as a kid watching him on TV all the time doing those amazing jumps and crashes. Yeah, sorry. I would vacation on Long Island. Grew up in Yonkers, but go out and spend a week or two each summer out there before it was fancy. See, I was Hamptons before Hamptons was cool.
The Hamptons, very
Can you make a
nice.
country song about that?
I mean, I think you can make anything about a country song now.
Do you ever write your own songs? Or because I think of you as a tribute. Is it fair to say a tribute artist?
A tribute artist, but that's kind of has like two different kind of meetings. People hear tribute and they think it's an impersonation. I essentially, I don't dress up like a Kenny Chesney or a George or a Garth. I don't have the big band behind me.
Uh-huh.
Just my own personal take on their classics to help keep this stuff going.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
And you're a compact unit. You can sing to tracks if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think especially in Sevier County, there are a lot of great tribute artists who do, like you said, like the guy Travis James, who does the Conway Twitty act. He puts on the wig.
That's right. That's at Main Event Theater in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Oh yeah, you know him. He's a good
It's
guy.
like plugging the show there.
Travis is a good guy, and he sometimes has an Elvis act in there too. When twice a week, I think.
That's right. Eli Williams is their main headlining Elvis there, and they got Stuart Chapman on rotation when he can't do
I've met
it.
Stuart, yeah.
And
not Eli.
Travis jumps in every now and then. He still gets it. Travis can still get it up there.
I love it.
And Renee, his wife, is such a sweetheart. Love her to death.
Yeah. Hello, darling.
Nice to
Okay.
see you.
And then I think they reopened Memories Theater, because I know Michael Chambliss has been doing his Elvis act
right.
all over the place, and his wife,
Samantha.
Doesn't she do a Marilyn Monroe?
Just Marilyn Monroe there and Tanya Tucker. It's an absolutely spot-on Tanya Tucker.
Really?
The attitude, the gruffy voice that Tanya had. And Michael's also their headlining Garth Brooks as well, outside of Elvis.
So he does both Elvis and Garth.
He does, yeah. You start with
I didn't know that.
two kings of the music business, two of the biggest showmen that there really ever was.
Yeah. Well, who were your favorites when you were a kid? I mean, you're pretty young. I mean, to me, you're still a kid. Compared to me.
I mean, well, I got a few less years than you, I think, just a few.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, growing up in Long Island, Billy Joel, of course, because he was the soundtrack of every Long Island kid's life.
He's finally moving. He's finally dumping New York and moving.
Finally, yeah.
Florida.
His last residency at Madison Square Garden's up this year. I think he said it was 20 years he's been doing that. I might be misremembering that.
I guess. Yeah.
Billy Joel, obviously, Elton John, Barry Manilow. That was like the big three up there.
Oh, wow.
And the Beach Boys were to Jan and Dean as the Beatles were the Rolling Stones. It's those kind of bands. And doo-wop and oldies. I was raising all the PBS Channel 13 specials with Cousin Brucey and Jerry Butler.
Oh, I know the shows you're talking about.
So I was raised on all that stuff.
Yeah. Channel. That's what we used to call it. We always called it just Channel 13 instead of PBS, because I think it was WNET for the educational television. I mean, I predate the existence of PBS watching those shows. We'd watch them in the classroom, and I would tell my teacher, isn't it time for Pocket Full of Fun? We're supposed to be watching some show on the Channel 13.
That was the days when the teacher would roll in the TV on the car, and it's nap time.
Sister Alice, she used to call me the walking, talking TV guide, because I would be just ready to stop whatever we were doing and watch the show. Like, it's 2:00, sister.
Occasionally, I was a pleasure to have in class, but my mother found my progress reports some time ago, and she's like, "Oh, I grew up with an Italian mom."
Yeah.
So she's like, "Oh, why am I not surprised? Speaks out in class, calls out in class, speaks out in class. I raised a clown. My son's a clown."
Now, you've, you haven't had the easiest life, but you're open to talking about it.
Yeah.
Some of the struggles that you've had, but you obviously have a supportive family who's helped you through it.
Absolutely, yeah.
What are those struggles? Tell us it.
I actually have a high-functioning form of autism referred to as Asperger's. Mm-hmm. I always tell people Asperger's, no fries.
I have another friend who I think has a mild form of that.
Yeah, it's definitely got its struggles, social awkwardness. I'm sure that's probably going to be on full display through this whole thing.
Well, I'll do my best.
Yeah. Social awkwardness, ill-timed jokes when nobody asked for it. Sometimes I'll start ranting about stuff that I'm passionate about. Impatience, change in routine. I also go through struggles with depression, anxiety, and things like that as well.
But you find, you're not letting it win.
I'm not. It's that's to the point of music. That's why I love music. It's my escape.
See, for me, it's comedy. That's interesting.
That's right. Tell us a joke.
I don't do jokes.
Yeah, you don't do jokes.
It's alleged comedy. But I enjoy doing improv. We'll talk a little more about that coming up in a moment. Have you ever come see me do improv? You need to come.
I have not. Where do you do that?
Scruffy City Hall on Market Square every Tuesday. We start around 8:15. It's free to get in. You have to pay to leave. But we do appreciate, when you come down and see us. We do the Whose Line Is It Anyway style short form improv.
So you might know my friend Alex Stokes then.
I went to his birthday party recently.
Isn't he one of the funniest people you've ever met in your life?
He does stand up, which is kind of the complement of improv. We in stand up, you start with all these ideas, and you always are trying to reduce them down into a joke, because the joke you want to get it, you want to hit and get out, get in and get out. So really you're trying to take maybe this 15-minute monologue in your head and distill it down to a 15-second joke, ideally, that has, the setup, the what we call the premise, and the punchline. Premise, break the premise, punchline, boom, 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 3 elements of the joke. And premise, pattern, punchline, sorry. So I don't do stand-up. And Alex teaches that. He'll teach you can take a class through UT Extension, and a lot of times he'll have the class at Scruffy City Hall on a Tuesday night right before we go on, and he'll encourage the students to stick around and watch what we do, which is you take that whole equation and you turn it upside down. Instead of starting with a lot and reducing it down to nothing, little, we start with nothing. We start with the tiniest little mustard seed and expand on it, go in the other direction, and when we get to the funny part, we stop. So when you say, tell me a joke, like, well, take a little while, let's start on a topic. And then we keep adding to it, and you're involved as the audience, you're part of that. So we're doing it together, and when we create the joke together, the audience really resonates with it because they were in on that from the beginning. They watched it grow. So that's the difference. One you're reducing and one you're expanding.
Does he sit down, or does he just do stand-up?
He did sit during the birthday party. They put him in a throne-like chair, he and his wife Jenny, and they had some of his students get up there and roast him, which I thought was funny, because one of the guys was roasting saying to all the students, you're paying this guy $30 for what you could do for nothing at an open mic night. What are you getting from this guy except an open mic night? Which is pretty funny. Well, while we're on the topic of improv, why don't we segue into our sponsorship for this week, which is the Secret City Improv Festival. You can take classes from experienced improvisers. You can go watch not only the Einstein Simplified style of short form improv, which I think another group like Blue Plate Special from Greenville is very good at. I recommend them. I love watching their act because they do some of the same games that we might do, but their spin on them is always going to be different. That's the beauty of improv. But he'll also bring in, among these 23 professional troupes from all over the place. I mean, folks travel from Chicago and Atlanta and the Carolinas and, the Midwest. People love Improv Fest, so they'll travel in for it. And you'll see long-form improv, a lot of long-form improv. That seems to me to be the more popular form currently. It goes in waves. When Einstein Simplified started, Whose Line Is It Anyway was brand new, and that became a real thing. Everybody was doing short form. Now Einstein Simplified's been around for 29 years. So it makes sense that we're still doing that, but a lot of the newer groups do long form improv where you're like trying to create a play. You've got a beginning, a middle, and an end. It may have the same characters for the entire, it depends how long their show is. At an improv festival, they get about 25 minutes. So that same storyline goes for 25 minutes, whereas in Einstein, we're like 5 minutes next, 5 minutes next. We'll do 5 completely different scenes in that same time frame. But you can try all of that out, see what you like. It's coming up the first weekend of October, which is the bye weekend. That's the 6th and 7th. They also have a special workshop on Sunday the 8th with TJ Mannix. So the format is Friday night. They've got shows at 9 and 11 p.m. Then on Saturday the 7th, they've got shows at 3, 5, and 7 in the afternoon, and those will be clean, family-friendly shows. Then 8:45 and 10:30. During the day on Saturday, you can also take those workshops. There's a charge for those with Nick Condon, TJ Mannix, Neil Leahy, and the Nashville Improv Company, which does musical improv. That might be something that interests you, where they will compose a song on the spot based on something the audience suggests. And there's certain methods they use, like we're going to create the first part, the hook, the bridge, whatever you would create in a song, the chorus, the bridge, the hook.
Key change, of course. Every good song needs
all
a key
that. They
change.
work on all that, and the piano player will kind of give you the cues, and you only have to do it the one time, and then it's disposable, and you move on, make up a new song. So there's no wrong answers in improv. Get your tickets. They're $10 for one night, $20 for both nights of the Secret City Improv Fest. You can buy them online at secretcityimprovfest.com/Frank. And you can also buy them in person at multiple outlets in Oak Ridge, including Calamity's Coffee, the Feral Shop, and Gaia's Wisdom, or the Checkpoint Gaming Store, which is in Clinton. So whether you're in Clinton or Oak Ridge, you can buy those tickets for $10 or $20. Learn more about the schedule, about who else is going to be there at secretcityimprovfest.com. I'll just say /Frank, because I'm sure you can get to all of that as well. And I think I get credit for your ticket sales, which is good for me, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so buy your ticket through my thing. I mean, I'm nothing against the stores in Oak Ridge. You can go there. So any improv experience, musical, or is jazz is improv a lot?
I've actually not had to do a whole lot of improv. I got my early singing start in theater and stuff, but we didn't do a whole lot of improv.
I find that improv people are terrified of memorizing, terrified of straight theater, and then and the other way around. That a lot of actors, they don't want to do improv. They're like, nope, give me a script. I'll learn that script and I'll have it memorized. And once in a while, I've seen people make the transition. There was a guy named Dave Snow who used to be in our troupe, and he wanted to grow, and now he's in almost every production they do at Theater Knoxville downtown, doing memorized plays. He played Hercule Poirot in their version of Murder on the Orient Express, and I've seen him play Sherlock Holmes. I guess I have a thing for detectives, because I'll go see my friend play these famous detectives in these different plays. But that seems like what all he does now. I don't think he does any improv anymore. And a lot of the things we do in improv started as games, theater games, like rehearsal. You'd go in, when you started in theater, did they have any of these exercises, like work? How did you, how do you learn to act? That's what...
You take so I had an acting teacher in college. I went to Suffolk County Community College, class of 2011, got my associates in general theater and musical theater. Mm-hmm. I had a teacher, his name was Stephen Lanscaffro. He actually had a role on One Life to Live for a short time there. He said, make your own personal monologue around what the play is. Like, make a monologue that's personal to you.
Yeah.
And when you're thinking of that monologue, as you're saying the lines in whatever the play is, think of that monologue.
Okay.
So, like, whatever you're...
So you're bringing something of yourself to the scripted part.
Yeah, so essentially you're thinking of, like, two different things at once. He always said, if you think the emotion, they're going to see it. Just think the emotion and just let it go.
All right.
He also retired Special Forces as well. He was retired Special Forces.
Oh, wow.
So he didn't run his stage combat class like your granddaddy's gym class. He definitely put us through our paces. I'll never forget that.
Now, how does that help you when you're up there singing? Maybe even when you're first starting out in New York. I mean, can you apply the acting lesson? Because you're performing when you're singing, too.
No, absolutely. You got to feel the song. I think every song has a personal monologue.
You surprised me when you did a Sinatra song. You may have watched our video a year ago when my cousins were in town and we went to the glamping place.
The Smoky Hollow Outdoor Resort.
And you were there as the entertainment that night. But I knew you did country music because you wore a cowboy hat. But then when you did the Sinatra song, I'm like, wait a minute, whoa, you caught me off guard there.
Classical training, it's also essentially is another way to say ear training. I actually taught myself how to sing country.
Yeah.
The operatic and Rat Pack and Broadway stuff, that's where my training is. So when I do that during the show and I flip that switch, people are like, dude, how and why?
I see. You've got them thinking you're the country, which actually is the second layer, and then you pull back and go to the...
So I usually end most of my shows with, where it all began to kind of bridge that gap to where it started versus where I am now.
Yeah. What is next then? Are you more into the country world, or do you want to go into... be versatile and do everything, right?
I do a little bit of everything, yeah.
Okay. So where do you see yourself in a couple of years?
Honestly, I don't know if I have a particular goal in mind. I'm fine living my life.
But you keep working at it, though. You're working towards something, right?
Yeah.
What?
I don't know what that something is. I won't know until it's here, right?
I don't know. I mean, because I'm thinking we talked about some of those mutual friends we have who have steady jobs in the theaters in Sevier County. I mean, but you're making a fine living being the mobile guy, the one who's flexible and can sing at a office party, wedding reception. What kind of gigs do you do?
Assisted livings, nursing homes, marinas, bars, restaurants, anywhere I can go.
I'm a little envious of that. I got a phone call from a lady at one of the assisted living or retirement homes. And she's like, we noticed we've already paid you for your upcoming performance, so what day are you coming? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. She says, well, this is Frank and Friends, right? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to come over and do a podcast for the retirees. There's a guy, apparently, named Frank, who, and his wife, call themselves Frank and Friends, and they sing in retirement homes.
Okay, so there's
But they don't have a website, they don't have a Facebook page, they don't have anything. So this lady, who was new to the job, it just Googles Frank and Friends, thinking she's going to find the old guy who sings at the retirement home. And she got my number, and she's emailing me and calling me and everything. I'm like, what?
I love singing for those places too, Frank. I tell you what, you want to talk about the power of music. Go there and see a show down there, or go do a show yourself. Their minds could be anywhere at these places, but how the music just brings everything back for that split few minutes or seconds.
So, what era of music works for you when you go there? What era are you?
Those kind of places, usually I go about 50s to 60s or 50s to 70s.
Yeah.
Various different things, from doo-wop to oldies to the classic country.
Give me some titles, though. I want to know some specific songs that are in your repertoire.
It's in terms of like that range.
Yeah, start there. I don't know. I mean, I don't know any country songs. I mean, I'm trying to think of the name of a Garth Brooks song. I Got Friends in Low Places.
Yeah.
I got one. That's 1 point for Frank. But I bet I'll recognize all the. I'm a classic hits DJ. I should know the 60s and 70s songs.
So oldies and doo-wop and all the Rat Pack stuff. You're talking about stuff like Herman's Hermits, Peter Noon.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Into Something Good is in my show. Larry Chance and the Earls.
That goes way back.
That's right. Cara Mia, Jay and the Americans. It's I usually I'll sometimes encore with that after New York, and people will give me that look. How are you going to sing that 2 or 3 hours later? And then I sing it, and they're like,
yeah.
But then Rat Pack, of course, Sinatra, Dino, Bobby Darin. I love that stuff. Frankie Valli and the Beach Boys. Like, the list just goes on and on.
Yeah.
Country music: Kenny Chesney, Garth Brooks, George Strait, Alan Jackson, Conway Twitty, Keith Whitley.
Not a lot of people doing Conway, though. I mean, I mentioned Travis James because he's
He is the Conway around here.
He's such an exception.
That's right.
I mean, even not just locally, but regionally. You know, my friend Bean is a big Conway Twitty fan. We were texting about who does Conway Twitty songs anymore. You know, one of the biggest artists in the history of music, not just country music.
We got I think his grandson's out there. Trey, I think is his name. I might be getting his name wrong, but his grandson's
you tell me, yeah.
His grandson is out there. Conway's grandson is actually out there with Loretta's granddaughter, and they actually have a group called Twitty Lynn.
That's something. There. I didn't know that.
And there's also a guy out there by the name of David Lee, who does a really fine Conway Twitty. He's also an Elvis tribute artist as well.
Now, what about new songs? You mentioned some of these contemporary country songs, country artists. So new stuff's coming out all the time. How quickly might you add a new song to the repertoire, or do you want to wait and make sure it's a hit?
I wait to make sure it's a hit, because then if you do that, people are more likely to identify with it.
Yeah.
Some of the modern guys in my show, I got guys like Luke Combs is in there, Morgan Wallen. Mm-hmm. Who else I got in there? Jason Aldean is in there.
I've heard of Jason Aldean, but I couldn't tell you any of his titles.
She's country. That's the only Aldean song I have in there. She's country. Morgan Wallen, I got Sand in My Boots.
He's from around here, right?
That's right. Yeah, he's an East Tennessee boy.
I think he's local, like
Kenny Chesney.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember when I worked at the station that did Dancing with the Knoxville Stars, we had Morgan Wallen as one of the stars, and at the time, everyone's like, "Who's this guy?" He's nobody.
So now, who is that guy now, Frank Murphy? Who is that guy now?
Oh, yeah, he's a big deal.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you say important titles and doing right by them?
You know, there's this isn't aimed at anyone specifically, mind you. I think, there's a lot of people and places out there that use their titles to try to make people feel like they can't speak up or they don't have a voice. And
their song titles or their job titles?
Their job titles, just in general. I think it's a terrible thing when you use your title to intimidate somebody. How you treat people and how you do right by that title, I think, is most important.
Okay. Yeah.
It's.
Well, I mean, that's what it's all about. Is people remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
You know, you can say one thing, but if you don't mean it, they'll see right through that. Like you're talking about, you got to feel the emotion, not just when you're singing and when you're acting, but when you're interacting.
And mind you, that's not to say I'm perfect either. I mean, I'm the reason for a lot of those dust-ups, but just the entitlement that people think comes in their like last name or their title just is very disappointing.
Oh,
you know?
all right. Well, I hope you're not talking about me.
Oh, no, Mr. Murphy.
Because I got nothing.
No, Mr. Murphy.
I got no title. I got no nothing. And you also mentioned, I know that you are good with using backing tracks. Gives you an amazing flexibility because you can turn on a dime if the audience wants you to switch from, you know, you may have a plan, but you can also do requests pretty easily because you just type in whatever song it is you want.
Yeah. And there's a perception out there backing tracks. Now, on one hand, I get you hear one guy or one person with tracks. Most people will identify that with karaoke, but...
Well, I mean, also having worked at a top 40 station, when we would bring in, I mean, we brought in Rihanna to the Knox County First Day of School Festival when she had one hit, you know, whatever the first one was, Pond to Replay. So, you know, she shows up. She's just a little kid, a high school kid from Barbados, and... she's got maybe 3 songs she's going to do at the, where were we? At the Expo Center on Clinton Highway, right? Can you believe Rihanna played the Expo Center on Clinton Highway?
Really?
And so we're there.
Humble beginnings, that's crazy.
Because she had to go wherever the record company told her to go. But we would have it set up so that they would have the 3 tracks that she's going to sing to. And it was the same deal. And any of those up-and-coming top 40 acts, when they do these big festival concerts, you know, we used to have Star Jam at... Pigeon Forge or wherever we would be, very few of the acts had a full band.
A lot of them would use tracks. I think it's a fuller sound, you know, it's, you know.
Well, Good Charlotte had enough money that they can bring their whole band. So their whole band is set up, their whole back line is set up. But meanwhile, when the Owl City guy is going to sing, you know, 1 song or 2 songs, he's going to get there and do Fireflies and whatever. We're just going to play the track and he's going to get up there and do it's just a little Fireflies. That's my impression of Fireflies.
The thing is, on one hand, you know, I get from a business standpoint how most people prefer a live band or a musician or players, but on the other hand, to me, it's about the people being happy and having fun. I think that's most important.
Do you ever sing? I went to a wedding that had a big old live band recently, and I imagine that must have cost a fortune. Do you ever have the opportunity to do that?
I'll actually be singing at my twin sister and my brother-in-law's wedding on New Year's Eve.
With a band or with tracks?
I'll be doing that with tracks, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but the thing with tracks is, I think the people that want to call it karaoke without actually analyzing the metrics of it, you know, it's cost benefit, you know, low maintenance, you know, less hassle for the venue.
But karaoke specifically includes
actually looking at the words,
right?
Calling
a screen
people up
with the bouncing ball,
yeah.
And it's a different vibe than what you're doing. Is you've learned the songs,
That's
and
right.
You're just. I mean, I'm assuming you're using something very similar to a karaoke track, but you don't need to read the lyrics.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I take it personally, but I think it's those people that wouldn't be able to get themselves up there themselves and subject themselves to that kind of label. It's
all right. Well, I understand. That's cool. All right. Well, we're getting to the end of our half hour together. So what else do you want to mention before we have to go?
What else did I have?
Well, how do we get in touch with you? How do we find you? How do you, what kind of gig could one of our viewers?
So you can Facebook me, Daniel Michael Crane, DMC. Mm-hmm. Just says it right there on Facebook. I actually have the poster for today's.
I appreciate that.
Film on the cover
I'll
photo.
put a link in our description so you can just click right on that.
Facebook, find me at Daniel Michael Crane Entertainment or Crane's Country Tribute to Legends, or just go to youtube.com/MrMusicMan25 or just look up Daniel Michael Crane. It's me in my red blazer.
Well, I'll put all that in the description so you make it easy for you to click on that. Now, thank you, Daniel. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Frank. Appreciate
If you do like audio entertainment of all kinds, we do recommend highly that you check out Audible. And if you go to audibletrial.com/FrankandFriendsShow, you get a free 30-day premium membership to Audible, which gives you a free MP3 download every month, or included in the price. But the first month, of course, it's free, because I just said it was a free membership for 30 days. So take full advantage of that. Download that MP3, keep it on your device forever, and the membership will continue until you decide, I can't listen anymore, which is probably going to be never. Because the thing about it is you just did a long car ride from Alabama to get
North
here
Alabama,
this morning, and I appreciate your doing that. trying to figure out how you got here in time, but you managed to do it. It was a long drive. But listening, while you're multitasking, you can listen and drive, you can listen and walk. I can listen in my AirPods while I'm out there sweating in the garden, doing my labors of love with the fig trees and all that. And you can do the same. And it keeps your place, whether you switch from your phone to your Alexa to your whatever. Keep enjoying all those audiobooks with new ones coming out every week, or the podcast, or the custom audio entertainment created just for Audible. You find that when you start at audibletrial.com/FrankandFriendsShow. Make sure you subscribe to our show on YouTube. We appreciate that very much. And check out some of our fabulous merch. Maybe you want to get the bucket hat. It's getting to be the end of bucket hat season, but you can get into, I mentioned hoodie season is practically here. I got the nice big hoodie. Where is it? Over here. And then I wanted to get to the beach towel, which is my favorite thing of all, and because it's got the full artwork. The artist named Jody Collins did the full logo. And it just reminds me of that motel sign in the Smokies, which is where I would love to live someday. Look at that. How about it? All right. Anything else okay? You got here on time. We had a whole thing about the time zone, trying to figure out what time to...
Everything else is good.
To get you here.
A couple of Knoxville places I want to shout out. Yeah. Thank you to the Knoxville Ice Bears for all their national anthem opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
Our friends, the Tennessee Smokies, just down the road here in Kodak, who are actually going to be coming back to Knoxville before too long.
That's right.
Thank you to Mr. David Feather with the Knoxville Ice Bears, Randy Boyd, and the whole Boyd Sports family. Because of those opportunities, I'll actually be singing for the Chattanooga Lookouts next month, and probably the Trash Pandas there in Madison. I'll be singing for them as well.
Good.
It's a double-A affiliate of the Angels.
I thought they were in Huntsville, the Trash Pandas, but that's cool. I've seen them when they play raccoons. If you're from the north, a Trash Panda is a raccoon.
And thank you to the Knoxville Man Show for letting me sing with them last year, the Press Room, and
good, yeah.
Alley Rays, I'm forgetting. I've sung at so many places around.
A lot of good gigs. Well, that's why we want to follow you on social media.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent work. Daniel Michael Crane, thank you for being here on the Frank and Friends Show. Look at that. We're right on time.
Yep.
This is the Frank and Friends Show. I'm Frank Murphy.
I'm Daniel Michael Crane, DMC.
Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you again next time.